Hello and welcome to my YouTube video on how to install Windows Server on your PC using virtualization. I will be using VMware and the version of Windows Server that I'll be using will be Windows Server 2022. If you don't know how to get Windows Server in terms of the actual download, I recommend downloading an ISO. So all you have to do is type in Windows Server ISO, which you'll get from Microsoft Evaluation Center. Download the ISO, make sure you save it somewhere that you know, and you're pretty much good to go then, really. Once you've done that and you downloaded it, boot up VMware when it loads, and you want to do a new virtual machine. Click Next. You want to install from an ISO, but you don't want to click that because if you click that, then it'll ask for your product key, which obviously we don't have. So you'll click I will install the operating system later. You want to click Microsoft Windows and you want to click on Windows Server, and there should be 2016 on there. However, you can just use Windows Server, it doesn't matter, just click any of those. The virtual machine name, in this case it'll be a domain controller, so I will be doing DC01. Click Next, that's fine, 40 gigs is fine. You want to customize your hardware. I give it at least 4 gigs of RAM, 2 processors with 2 cores each. In fact, no, probably one would be fine. If it's just a domain controller, if you then add in like DHCP servers, that type of stuff, then DNS servers, then probably I'd give it a bit more. But if it's just a domain controller, I'd probably just use this. Now, CD, you want to do an ISO. This is where you want to boot from your ISO. So then click and put your Windows Server in there. That's fine. That's fine. Okay. Then you want to click Close and Finish. Simple as that. Power on the virtual machine. This will then boot up. Do not press anything, because if you press something, it'll just kick you out, and then you have to do it all over again. So just wait for that to boot. There we go. There's the Windows sign. Wait for that to boot, and then it should give you an option to install, which it has. Brilliant. Click your region, time, and all that jazz. Next, then it'll ask you for like 4 options. So if you click on that, and click install now, it'll then give us 4 options. I think it'll give us server and then a GUI version. So there we go. So you've got Windows Server 2022 standard and then Windows Server 2022 standard desktop experience. Now, desktop experience basically just means it's a GUI, whereas standard is solely CLI based. So unless you want to work out the CLI, I recommend desktop experience. We won't be bothering with data center. So we click next, we agree, of course, and then we want to do a custom install. There's your drive, which allocated 4 gigs of space. Click next, everything will copy over, finish up, download, etc. And then it should grant you with like a sign on screen. So I'll just let this run in the background and I'll get back to you once it's done. Once it's done that, it'll then say restarting. I'd just recommend leaving it and letting it do it. I know it's only 10 seconds, but from my Windows Server history, it doesn't like it when you click it. It just then restarts, which is really weird. I don't know why it does it, but I just recommend just leaving it and letting it do its thing. It'll then boot up. Also, if it says press CD or any key to continue, do not press anything. I know it's really misleading, but if you press something, it'll then try and look for a physical drive, which obviously you don't have because you're booting from an ISO. So just don't press anything, let it do its thing. If all is good, which I don't know why it stopped rotating, it should then grant me to an administrator page where you can basically create the admin account. Then you'll just put in your credentials, so your password and stuff like that, and then you should be good to go really. And then you'll boot up, Server Manager will boot up, and it's then where you can configure roles and stuff like that. So that's for another video, but this is just purely on the install. Waiting again. It shouldn't take too long. Should grant me that blue screen in a second. Any second now. It should. There we go. So this is the username, obviously is admin. At this point you just want to create a password. So just any old password will do. That should be fine. and you're pretty much straight in. Then on VMware, if you didn't know, so when it says Control Alt Delete, do not press that on your own keyboard because that will like lock your actual PC out, not the virtualized one. So if you click this little button here, that's basically Control Alt Delete. Then add in the password that you just made, and just like that, you're in. Nice and easy. You booted from the ISO. Everything's great, fantastic. This should connect. If it doesn't connect, I'll show you how to do that. Server manager boots up like we said, so that's great. We've got the local server, all servers, all green. Good. Oh, we'll just go red. Now, one thing I'd recommend if you're using VMware is to install the tools. So that's basically like the drivers, getting it fit to scale and stuff like that. So I'd install those, which they should be formatted in here anyway. Run these. Literally takes 2 minutes, and then that'll just scale everything. So wait for that to boot. Click next, next, install. That'll install. Piece of cake, and then if you look closely, it should all nicely scale and ask for a restart. Any second now, there we go. So that's all scaled, that's lovely. That'll just do its thing in the background. Finish. Nice. So that's it. That's how to install Windows Server 2022, just to make sure that it's the right one. There you go, Windows Server 2022. Nice and easy. If there's any problems or whatever, just put them in the comment section. I'll be quite happy to answer them. And that's basically it. If you notice that you've not connected as well, just for the sole purpose of this video, I'll just be using a bridge connection, which is directly to my network, which I wouldn't recommend if you're then running domain controllers and stuff like that, because it can then actually mess up. So when you turn your PC off, it'll turn off the whole network, your home network, so I wouldn't recommend that. So just for the purpose of this video, I'll use this bridge connection, and then we have connection. But if you're setting up virtualization networks or VNets, that's another video which I'll run through how to set up, etc. Which you can basically have your own private network and run domains on those private networks. If you want to see that, let me know. But other than that, that's how to install Windows Server 2022. Thanks very much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.